advantage of the opportunity. But right now is about right now.
The Plan B, Ohio State Buckeyes!
Give everything you got in your heart to this place.
Hello, welcome to Rushing the Field, presented by Xfinity. It's Saturday night. There are some games still wrapping up, but we are going to wrap up Week 9. He's Joshua Perry. I'm Nicole Auerbach. And I feel like we got to start with the game day game. We got to start with Vanderbilt-Mizzou and the fact that Vanderbilt is off to its best start since 1941. And again, like we said this last week, but like they have a legitimate path to the college football playoff, and I don't think it would feel fluky if they get there.
I agree with that. It's very much the way that we talk about Indiana, where it's not just a good story anymore. It's like a team that is to be taken seriously. And they play football the way that teams who have had success the last few years play the game. They want to run the football. They play really good defense, and they have a quarterback who's a difference maker for them, whether you think that he's a high-end NFL prospect or not. Super intriguing because that game got gritty, right? Like, it was weird. It didn't feel like anybody was really taking control.
Low offensive yardage for Vanderbilt, a lot of penalties, 3 and outs, like things that normally would cost them games.
No doubt. And it didn't feel like anybody really took control of that game either, which to me actually says a lot about their ability to weather storms and win games. I thought it was really impressive. Clark Lee is a maniac in a great way, so it's fun watching him on the sidelines. But, like, yes, we should be in this mode of, like, Vanderbilt's going to be there at the end of the year.
Yeah, I think they definitely might. I mean, we talked about it a little bit last week. They didn't rush the field, and they beat LSU. Mm-hmm. They hung in there with Alabama. They beat them last year, of course. But last year when they won games, it was like David Goliath.
Story.
Yeah, it was a good story.
Yes.
It was a good story, and it was like, oh, my God, we might never see this again.
Right.
And now they expect to win these games.
No doubt. And they have built a culture on the field that shows, but a belief within that locker room as well. And we joked around, and I certainly did, when Diego Pavia in the preseason was like, yeah, you know, we're going to win a national title at Vanderbilt. And it's like, all right, bro, like, please, I get you're confident. This is crazy. And I still don't think that they're going to win a national title, but they're one of those teams that's going to be right there at the end of the year when we're looking at the bracket and seeding and trying to figure out, okay, like, yes, they are in the bracket. This is where they're going to be seated. And also, these are the chances that we give them with the matchups they could have. And it's a really interesting place to be with Vanderbilt football.
Diego Pavia also up to 4th in the Heisman odds.
Crazy.
We saw signs during the game. I mean, he did the pose 2 weeks ago.
Sold out crowd, too.
Yeah, again. It's been pretty awesome to see what Vanderbilt's doing. Flip side is just awful and gutted for Bo Pribula. It was really tough. It's actually a little bit tough to evaluate this game because he goes down and leaves the game in the third quarter. And listen, his backup was good.
Yes.
But it just, like, it changes the complexion of the game, changes the way you feel about Mizzou because he'd been so integral to their success so far. They had to pop his ankle back in.
Yeah, that's tough.
That's what Eli Drinkwitz said afterwards.
Yeah.
And he's going to be out for a while. I mean, at this point in the season, you can't expect him back.
No, I mean, it's gutted's probably the best way to say it. Like, he's a gritty guy who plays the game away where he puts his body at risk. And that's exactly what happened on that play, going in there trying to score. Very unfortunate for him. It's very unfortunate for Mizzou as well. And as you mentioned, their backup played just fine. And their style of offense is conducive to having a quarterback who's maybe a little bit less experienced because they want to run the ball so much. But for a team that, you know, expectations started to build, to have that injury really stinks for them. And then to your point, like, Vanderbilt was great. They made the plays they needed to make. But there also is this part where people will say, like, oh, well, the Missouri quarterback got hurt. Like, how do we really feel about the win? Which is unfortunate on both sides.
Yeah, and they had the Hail Mary attempt that got really close.
Insane.
Really close.
A lot of drama.
All right, another really interesting SEC result that is one of the headliners from the weekend was Ole Miss and their win, the way that they did it against Oklahoma. I want to tell you the remaining schedule before I get to my main takeaway from them. Okay. They're at home versus South Carolina, home versus the Citadel, home versus Florida, and then they go at Mississippi State in the Egg Bowl. None of those teams are ranked and probably won't be when they play them. That would be my guess. I think we can pencil in or Sharpie, whatever we want to do, put Ole Miss in the playoffs.
It's a really weird thing because I think you're right on their path and what they've done up to this point. I don't think I've watched them week over week and built more belief in the idea that they
always feels like they could lose.
Yes, it doesn't feel like not even they're a national title contender. To me, sometimes it doesn't even feel like they're a legit playoff team because they have a major hole on their roster, which is their defense isn't very good. I could see a situation where South Carolina, like they did against Alabama today, could make that game a little bit scary. Like, I could see a situation where Florida, with some of the talent that they have, could have some explosive plays on them. I could see a situation where Mississippi State, who has been dangerously close in some of these SEC games, could actually pull off an upset in a rivalry game.
Or Ole Miss wins all of the games.
No,
like,
I mean, it's one of those things.
This is how the season has been
I know,
for them,
but like,
right?
do you feel great about them?
No. But like, I also think that we need to pencil them into the playoffs.
I totally agree with you, but it's probably the team that I would feel least confident about that is for sure going to be in the playoffs.
I did not rank them for a few weeks,
Sure.
and Ole Miss fans got really mad at me for that, but it did feel like when they're playing Kentucky and people are like, they didn't look good. They didn't play well. Trinidad Chambliss is good.
Mm-hmm.
And Lane Kiffin had two things that he did in this game against Oklahoma that almost cost them. Took Trinidad Chambliss out of the game to put Austin Simmons in, which killed the drive.
Yes.
And then that bizarre 4th down decision, like deep in their own territory, it sparked a 16-3 Oklahoma run. I mean, so Lane has to not cost his team points as well.
Yeah, that's the other thing we haven't even really addressed is like I know Lane Kiffin's name is being tossed around. People at Florida seem to be very interested.
There's a lot of fans that want him.
But like, again, like, is he a coach that you're like, oh, I trust him 100%?
Also, can they navigate the rumors and the job openings?
I mean, the rumors are going to be the rumors. Like,
I know, but do you think that ends up affecting teams ever?
I don't know if it does. Like the players aren't going to be sitting there like, oh, my coach is being rumored, like I'm not going to play hard anymore.
No, I know.
Like I feel like they need to find a way to get some more stops on defense. That's like my biggest concern for them is they have a problem.
No, I agree. But again, the path is there for them. You know whose paths are very convoluted and very muddy and very confusing? A lot of the teams in the ACC.
Sure.
But let's start with the two teams that have not lost a game in ACC play. By the way, this is because one of them played an ACC team, but it was a non-conference game. Virginia's loss was a non-conference loss. Virginia and Georgia Tech. I mean, what if that is our ACC championship game?
And
it's possible.
I guess I got to take my Ole Miss take back. These are probably two teams that
they
like,
could
you don't
lose
feel
any.
great about.
Yeah, they could lose any week. Virginia, all of these overtime games, it feels like all of the luck is going their way.
Everything's close, but they find a way to win a game.
Yeah.
Very strange. And then the Georgia Tech thing, I do think that they're a generally well-constructed team outside of the fact that I think their offense is too Haynes King dominant, which could be an issue if the guy gets banged up because he carries the ball a million times a game.
True. They definitely do have the identity of their head coach, Brent Key. Mm-hmm. Like, that is a program as well that, like, doesn't feel like it's going anywhere.
Right.
Both of those teams have already
surpassed. Is the coach going somewhere, though?
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah.
Good question. Both Virginia and Georgia Tech have already surpassed their win totals from last season, which is very cool. There are a lot of one-loss teams, though, in the ACC. So obviously you have Miami, you have SMU, you have Pitt, you have Duke. Louisville is playing right now as we record this, so they're maybe in that grouping. Yeah. But like, it's very possible because we said how dangerous Virginia and Georgia Tech like to play their games sometimes, that they could lose again. And all of a sudden, we're talking about all the tiebreakers, and it's a mess in the ACC.
Oh, I'll say this. Like, hasn't the ACC always kind of been a mess? Like, coastal chaos?
Coastal chaos?
Yeah, I mean, like, this is par for the course in that conference. I think people should be on the lookout for how some of these races end up, right? And, like, can Virginia and Georgia Tech continue to do what they've done and be successful down the stretch? Miami, watching them today, it felt like they responded.
Very slow start, though, against Stanford.
Yes, but then they responded very well and started to blow out a lead in that game. Like, you know, are they going to be a team that we can assume will be dominant through the rest of their schedule, right? Like, these are the questions.
No, it is a good question. And it does also pose some questions about how many teams they could get into the playoff if there is a little bit too much cannibalizing, or, you know, is it maybe there's a team that doesn't make the championship game, the ACC championship game, that has a better path, like Miami maybe?
Yeah, that would be the one. I feel like the only team that I think could make it and not play in that game would be Miami.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that, you know, it'd be kind of like some of those years where Ohio State didn't play for a Big Ten title, but still got in. So I think that's a possibility. And I just want to underscore this, how crazy it is that these are the teams we're talking about at the ECC. Clemson was the preseason favorite. That season did not go the way they thought.
Nope.
After week one, Florida State beat Alabama.
Sure did.
And we
everybody
thought
was
Florida
like, oh,
State would be there.
FSU might
They
be
might-
the class of the conference.
And they may be firing Mike Norvell by the end of the season.
Which
So,
is
like,
nuts.
it's been a wild ride in the ACC. It's also been a wild ride in the group of 5. This is one of the more fun races generally to track because, you know, typically I think for most years we're expecting the Mountain West champ and the American champ to be in the mix. I've been penciling South Florida into that spot because of their non-conference wins, right? The win over Florida and the win over Boise State, you know, thinking that that could be a head-to-head result that factors in. Well, now I think we got to kind of just open this pile back up.
Yes.
Memphis beats USF. It was like, I think, 17 unanswered at the end to pull out the win. So you've got Memphis in the mix, but they have a loss in the American.
Yep.
Navy unbeaten in the American as well. Tulane is also there. You have Memphis, Tulane on November 7th. Navy plays USF, and then Memphis in November. Like, that league is going to have a must-see game every single week, and I still think that their champion is best positioned. But Boise's going to maybe be in the mix. San Diego State, maybe.
That was my question, because for the last probably, like, I would say probably 4 weeks, it certainly felt like the American champion would be the team that would get into the playoff with the G5 bid. But now that you look at some of these paths and maybe potential multiple losses for the top teams, is the door open?
Yeah.
Like, it feels to me like it's really difficult to try to predict. Like, the best team might not have the resume that the committee looks at and says, this is a G5 team we're going to put in the playoff.
Or it ends up being Tulane, which is someone we talked about all offseason.
Right.
But they had a couple losses early.
It was
and
a team that
some
I liked
power
early on,
conference
yeah.
teams.
And so I could see it, but it's just very weird how we're going to get there.
Yeah, it is. But that one becomes a lot more interesting. Like I said, Boise back in the mix, San Diego State, maybe even JMU out of the Sun Belt.
Yep, not a lot of people talking.
And it's going to be the highest ranked champion
Right.
from one of those conferences. So that's something that we have to start watching when we eventually get our college football playoff rankings.
No doubt.
All right, we got more thoughts on the second tier games after this. By second tier of games, I mean not the headliners. Like, these are the results and performances that were very, very interesting, and we'll give our helmet stickers as well. But we got to start with what happened with Alabama. Now, if they had lost, that would have been the story of the day. And they looked like they were trying to lose to South Carolina for much of the day. A furious comeback. Ty Simpson had some unbelievable moments in this game, as we are so used to seeing from him. They still can't run the ball. And that defense can give up a lot of points.
Yeah, and a lot of yards, too. Like,
and they got to make it up.
Yeah, no,
later.
you can move it on them. It's certainly a different Alabama than what we were used to during the Saban days, right? Like, it's a team where defensively they are much more leaky, porous at times. And as you mentioned, offensively, the thing that bothers me the most about this team is the lack of the run game. And the example I'll give is they had that 4th and 1 where they threw the ball to Ryan Williams. He ends up dropping it, and I know people are probably like, oh, here he goes again with the drops.
Yep.
It was 4th and 1. You're Alabama. Run the damn ball. Get a yard, right? Like, but they can't. They literally can't do that. And it's unfortunate to watch, and it's one of the reasons why I struggle when I try to figure out if I believe they can win a title, because I think Ty Simpson plays well enough to win a title. I think they've got some offensive players. I think their defense can be dangerous enough to get some stops. The run game is a huge problem to me.
I sort of feel, and this is more of a statement about the SEC as a whole, because we've had similar conversations about Georgia and what their defense looks like, how different it is from like the back-to-back titles. I feel like Alabama is good enough to win the SEC, but I don't know if they can win the national championship. And those used to go hand in hand.
Right. No, I'm there with you. Like, certainly the top of the SEC now feels like it's a step behind where it was before. Everybody talks about the meat of that conference. Definitely is tough, but
which is how you almost lose to South Carolina.
Right. On a week-to-week basis, it feels like new issues for the top teams in that conference get to be exposed.
Let's talk about one of the top teams in the country in the Big Ten, a team that I think we both do believe in, Indiana.
Yeah.
Indiana is turning into, what's the opposite of must-see TV?
They're boring.
They're boring.
Yeah.
Because they take control of a game so quickly and so easily that we had this great little story of UCLA, 3-game win streak. We're talking about Jerry Neuheisel. We're talking about Tim Skipper and all of this excitement around this team. And we didn't even get a quarter of an interesting game.
No, I mean, early on, they were like, pick 6, let's go right off the bat, right? And it's what really good teams do.
They make it boring.
Great teams are low drama, right? Like,
Yeah.
I love drama, big reality TV guy here.
Huge.
This did not feel like.
Mr. Bravo.
I'm Mr. Bravo. But it did not feel like that. This was a game where it was very businesslike, and they just go in, make the plays, operate the offense very well. Defense gets the stops they need to get, and that's it.
I know, and that's where we are with them. I mean, I've had them penciled into the playoff for a few weeks now.
Yeah.
But that is a really, really good football team, really clean football team. You had the tipped pass and an interception again for Fernando. Doesn't matter.
Doesn't care.
I think Alberto had an interception. Also didn't matter.
Doesn't care.
It is cool that the brothers both get to play in these games.
I think it's so fun, and they're so excited for each other.
I know. It's awesome. But yeah, they're a buzzsaw. So they are no longer a headline topic for this podcast. Indiana is that good now.
Indiana blowing conference opponents out is like, yeah, they do that.
They do that now.
It's just what they do.
Okay, a couple other interesting results in the Big Ten. Iowa can blow people out now.
Yeah.
They might be sneaky good. They got Oregon coming in a couple weeks. That could be one of the better games.
It's a weird thing
November.
because you look at the stat sheet for Iowa, and it's still not a great offense.
But it's a lot better.
Well,
they can get to the end zone.
They're
a top 50 scoring offense now.
Which again, not a great offense, but also
they used to be like 130th.
Oh, listen, bar was low. I'm not saying that it's
high.
not an improvement, but it's still not great. But the wild part about that is 37-0 against Wisconsin, and then they go out and was it 41 today?
41-3.
Yeah. Okay, so the offense isn't that good. Like, they have a bunch of other things that are working extremely well for them.
Yes, obviously you've got complimentary football,
and
the pick six.
By the way they played Indiana earlier in the year too. Like, that game was really dicey.
That was the best. I think that was the best somebody played Indiana so far.
100%.
But Minnesota has a good defense.
Sure they do.
And has played really well at times this year, and they just completely crushed them. Another interesting result in the Big Ten was Washington taking it to Illinois.
I mean, run it up, right? And it
was a really good response after the Michigan loss.
I think they are probably regretting some of the it feels like they just didn't seize opportunity when it was necessary.
I would say against Ohio State as well.
Yes, right?
Yeah.
And I think this was one of those let's get back on track type performances where they kind of let it go, and I appreciated seeing that.
Couple interesting results in the Big 12. So BYU won again.
Yes, which nobody talks about.
Nobody talks about them.
Yeah.
And we said this in the midweek pod, but worth underscoring it. I feel like everybody just wrote them off when Jake Retzlaff left, even though I think they would have been the preseason favorite if he had been there.
Yeah, I did that. Like, I'm not even gonna.
I think all of us.
I didn't.
Most of us did.
Yeah. So
and now you got Bear Bachmeier, who's been really good.
Been really good, gritty, tough guy.
And his name is Bear.
Yeah, I mean, great name.
Great name.
Phenomenal name. That conference is also another one where I'm just like, okay, what's actually going to happen here?
Cincinnati.
Yeah.
In the mix.
In the mix.
In the
Great
mix.
Ohio
and
team.
And they lost to Nebraska in the opener. Like, we didn't think when we were watching that game, it was a Thursday, I think, right?
Yeah.
Opening weekend of the season that we were going to be talking about. First of all, a Nebraska team that is not dead yet.
Yep.
But also a Cincinnati team that could very well win a Big 12 championship.
It was Patrick and Travis and Taylor all being there that really blessed that game.
You know, we were all like, oh my God, do you think Taylor Swift could have imagined that she would see a Cincinnati-Nebraska football game, seeing potential playoff contenders now, looking back?
Look at her. She got a treat. I want to touch on Oklahoma, the other side of that Ole Miss game real quick, because there was a lot of conversation that started popping up about this team maybe being the best in the country. Some people around here said that I love.
Chris Sims.
And
Repeatedly.
I think it is evident now that they have legitimate issues. There's the offensive issue of John Mateer when he can't be the offense, and that's throwing the football and running the football. They're a bad football team. I had this one down. So they had 81 yards on 2 runs and then 55 yards on the other 26. They're not good on third downs. Like, this is a really flawed offensive football team. And I think it's getting to the point now where it's putting their defense in really bad situations. Ole Miss ran 90 plays in that game.
And that was also going to be an issue that you were going to be facing an offense that is a Lane Kiffin offense, and they're going to come, and they're going to play fast, they're going to do all this stuff.
It's insane.
Put a lot of stress on the defense in the first place.
Yeah, and so I think it's a kind of curious thing now. Where people view them, what do we think about the finish of the season for them?
Yeah.
All those different things come into play with Oklahoma.
I agree, and it feels very far away from John Mateer for Heisman.
Yeah, and it also feels like if one more thing goes wrong, they could go on a little skid here toward the end of the year, and then I don't know what kind of conversations we're having in Norman, but they're probably not comfortable for a lot of people there.
Agreed. There's going to be, the way the season ends for a number of coaches is going to make things very interesting, both for who people want to hire and then if there are some other openings that we've been following. Time for helmet stickers. Joshua Perry, the floor is yours.
All right, I'm going to go with Jeremy Bernard, the wide receiver for Alabama. So it's like not a great Alabama performance by any stretch of the imagination, but they had the comeback. And to me, he is the ultimate playmaker in that offense. It's not Ty Simpson slander because he is ridiculous.
But this is interesting that you didn't say Ryan Williams.
It is because Ryan Williams, inconsistent, doesn't make all the plays.
A lot of drops.
And Jeremy Bernard seems to be the guy where if they need a play, he can provide it for them. So he had 5 catches, 54 yards, and a touchdown through the air. He had 3 rushes for 23 yards and the touchdown at the end of the game. These numbers aren't ridiculous, but you also look at the day for Alabama. They scored 29 points, and he was responsible for 2 of the touchdowns. He did it on the ground. He did it through the air. He gives me Emeka Ibuka vibes when I watch him. But he is like, because he's not the headlining guy, but he does a little bit of everything. He's really good at it.
And he ends up actually being more productive sometimes.
Yes.
I like that pick. I like it a lot. And I think when you watch, you do notice who's the go-to guy in the big moments and who's also not dropping the ball.
Yeah.
Like Ryan Williams.
And catching the ball as a wide receiver, very important.
Very important.
Yes.
My helmet sticker is going to the Iowa Hawkeyes.
They're an interesting team. Yeah.
Very interesting team. You know how much I love like special teams and defensive scores. So the fact that they had a passing touchdown, a rushing touchdown, a defensive score, and a punt return touchdown all before halftime.
It's insane.
I put them in. I was like, that is a helmet sticker team. But they do deserve a lot of credit. And Mark Gronowski is a really tough quarterback. The passing offense is not that much better.
No, it's really not. But
at times, though, they can make plays through the air. And he's really tough, and he can do it with his legs as well. And the ability to move down the field is something that this team has been missing.
Yeah, I mean,
it helps everything else.
You know, they get the ball, taking it away around midfield, and you're like, okay, like, feel pretty good about getting points on this drive.
That's very different.
It
41 points, 37 points. These are things that Iowa did not used to be able to do.
Insane.
All right, as we wrap things up on our Saturday night pod, we are going to address some of the games that are still in progress. There are a couple interesting results as we sit here early in the fourth quarter. Oregon is up 21-0 on Wisconsin. We're on the lookout for a shutout loss that goes back to back to back. This would be their 3rd straight if they don't get any points on the board.
Oh, man, it's just tough for me to watch. I know a lot of people over there in that Wisconsin program, and this is not at all what I expected things to look like. They
had the dreaded vote of confidence earlier in the week.
It's crazy. Like, this is a weird game because early on they were moving the ball a little bit.
Yeah,
like
it was very evenly
close,
matched.
and like Oregon still isn't blowing them out the way that you would anticipate that they could in a game like this. But this is a nasty performance, and not scoring a point in 3 consecutive games is
it does not give you a chance to win. It does not give you a chance to win any game.
Yeah, no, you literally don't have a chance if you don't score.
The best chance you can do is
tie. It's a good point. It's a really good point.
Yes. So anyway, that will be something that we will be watching on Sunday and throughout the week, fallout from a 3rd loss. And this would also be the 11th straight loss to a Power 4 opponent.
That's rough.
I want to get your thoughts on Texas A&M LSU. A&M has pulled ahead 28-18. We are late in the 3rd quarter. LSU had some flashes in this game, but
they did.
I think we both buy into the Aggies, right?
Yeah, I think so.
There's good and bad with Marcel Reed, but I think for the most part, I like them as a team.
Yeah, they're a roller coaster team for me. You mentioned good and bad with Marcel Reed. Like, we saw him give the ball away a couple times in this game. I also think that their defense is really in a boomer bust situation a lot of times. They'll give up explosives, but they also play really well on 3rd downs.
Yeah.
So if they get you to 3rd down, you feel good. But on 1st and 2nd down, you're kind of holding your breath a little bit. Yeah, it's a very intriguing team because when they're clicking, they're dangerous. But they make some plays where you're like, oh, that's not good.
If this holds and LSU loses, they will, I think, essentially be eliminated from CFP contention.
Yeah.
And they shouldn't even have been ranked this week. I will stand by that. But also, I think we are a couple weeks away from a Brian Kelly conversation.
Yeah, I think so. And they're so far off of what preseason expectations were that.
But also where you expect to be multiple years into your tenure.
Well, yeah. It doesn't feel like they've grown as a program since he's taken over.
Well, the offense has been
also, by the way, like the last 3 coaches all won titles. Like, where's your title? That's what people are going to say, you know?
Yes.
It's LSU.
Last thoughts. Michigan leads Michigan State 17-7. This feels like about what we expected because rivalry games are weird. 14.5 points or whatever it was for most of the week felt like a big number. Been some good Bryce Underwood in this game. Michigan State showing some fight as well for Jonathan Smith.
Well, probably the wrong kind of fight at times. Both the quarterbacks, as we speak, under 45% completion. So weird game with the young quarterbacks here.
That is Rushing the Field, presented by Xfinity. We'll see you soon.